This meeting is of the January 10th has been, a 2024 Planning Commission meeting is in order. The first thing to do is to ask for a roll call. We'll start on the left with,
Brian Lundgren here.
Cora Warfield here, Ann Ellis here.
Ricky Dyson here.
Ruth Ann Morris here.
And Dennis Sutherland.
Okay. We note the absence of Jonathan, and we'll find out if he checks in. And we would like some introductions on the right-hand side.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dennis Sutherland. Born and raised here in Toledo. Well, just right on the outskirts. My family's been here about my sixth generation. So we've been everything from logging and fishing and mill working and
The whole
just
gamut.
about everything you could possibly do here in Lincoln County. So, and I've been on the fire board. I'm currently on the Lincoln County Road Advisory Committee. I'm the chairman of the board. There has been, you know, there's been a lot of things I'd like to be involved with the city, but being out of the city limits kind of puts a kibosh to things.
Well, I think being on planning commission is an excellent place for
It
you,
is a good place to be.
especially with the road connection. That
Yeah.
will be real beneficial. And the history, yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be great.
I own a lot of property here in city limits. And
Oh, okay,
and my family does, and so, hopefully I can fit in and help out.
okay, yeah, wonderful.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, is that, and so we're going to go on to the, November 8th, 23 minutes. Assuming that everyone's had a chance to go over those, and has anyone noted any outstanding corrections? I didn't.
Oh, I didn't see any of those.
Okay, then, we will go ahead and take a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been, Ruth Ann and, Ricky have, moved that we go ahead and approve the minutes. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, they stand approved, noting, well, Dennis didn't because he can't, and Jonathan isn't here, so yeah, I think that's the head count, I think. And so we're gonna go on to
I don't know.
visitors. We have a visitor. I'm so used to there not being a visitor. Hello, Stu.
I made him sign in.
Oh, yeah, she was very.
You belong here, so you're not a visitor.
No,
He's in
I
the
just,
visitor gallery.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm just happy to be on Stu Strong, Toledo, and kind of semi-new on the city council again. But I'm just tickled to see that we're getting positions filled in the city and on the other boards and such on there. So I hope I just here tonight to touch bases and see how you guys are doing, and then go back to my regular stuff. So carry on.
So now we are going to go on to a decision item, and Justin will give us a little info on that.
Yeah, so this roughly a little over a year ago, the planning commission approved a partition up there on Sunset, 1950 Sunset. So it was a partition to split the property from one parcel into two parcels. And kind of a part of that, we have conditions where it's 12 months to get that final approval. So that involves taking your partition plat to the county and getting that final approval. Sometimes that does take longer than a year because of surveyors being backed up or kind of getting in line. So there's a letter in the packet as well, kind of the request for an additional year. It actually, it looks like it probably won't be more than a month before it actually gets recorded, because we actually have another draft that was submitted by the applicant. So it's kind of the 13 months mark, but they did, since we didn't have the December meeting, they did submit the request prior to their deadline, so that's why we're kind of approving it here at the January meeting, since we didn't have a December meeting, so all of the applicant met their deadlines for the submittal. And we expect, as long as the county looks at it and it looks good, that will get recorded pretty soon after this approval happens. I think in the past, we've done a few extensions and a lot of the time it's just the timing of being able to have a surveyor on board to get it all wrapped up, and oftentimes it's because the county comes back and there's a minor change, like some easement language or one of the call outs is slightly off or something, so it has to get.
I think up there in that area, I think they were having a hard time finding the quarter section marker or something or other. It's real dense, so.
Yeah, so
So this wasn't due to him not able to find a surveyor, but the surveyor just took a little longer.
I think it takes, it's a lot, I've heard surveyors are backed up 6+ months sometimes, so it's sometimes it takes a little bit to find the surveyor and then get in line, kind of get everything wrapped up and complete. So that's kind of, the year deadline is, I mean, it's you have a full year, but it's with that 6 months to get a surveyor. We don't have a lot necessarily in the county that work specifically in Lincoln County. So that's kind of why. So it's not uncommon to see an extension request.
Is there do they have the public meetings? Do they, I'm kind of not, don't understand all that, but do they have like public meetings and stuff before they, like with adjoining neighbors and stuff, before like planning commission or the planner approves that? Do they
Yeah,
have that stuff?
So with-
before they can be approved? Don't they go through steps?
yeah, that's a great question. So with the original approval, we have to send out, we don't have a specific neighborhood meeting, but we do send out notice to neighbors within, I believe it's the 150 or the 250?
For where partitions 300.
300, sorry. So 300 feet. So it'll often capture quite a few neighbors. It depends on the neighboring lot sizes. But they're all invited to the meeting if there are comments, or they could also submit written comments and not come to the meeting. So we did do that in the original approval. But for the extension, the code doesn't require that, since the public meeting.
Sorry, the old and stuff.
Yeah, and this with the extension, we don't have to go through that same process, but if it did, we're only allowed to extend another 12 months. So if there was a case where someone couldn't get it done in 2 years, then we would have to go back through the full process
Oh, wow.
again.
Is there an overlay of where that sits? Like, do we have a screen of an overlay of where?
If you look here, the second, this is the original hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that has a lot of the information, and
Yeah,
there
you
might
need
have
to
been
read
maps that with the.
Yeah, I read-
I'm sure there were maps.
There were
I
maps.
noticed that we didn't have any maps.
Yeah, I
this
did
time.
see that.
If you're I probably have this, if you're
Yeah, I've
interested.
seen them before where there's an overlay and it
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
like
yeah,
adjoining
there's a map.
property owners.
Right,
But
yes,
I hadn't,
yeah.
I didn't see it.
And normally on this, we would have that.
I can-
If this was the first time they were asking for it, then we'd have, usually
we
there's
have
2 or
it
3
here.
different
Maps,
maps.
yeah,
that
there,
we
it's
could
giving
get.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
couple this that you can
Two
pass.
guys.
And sometimes, yeah, there's
Does-
there's
are
a
the-
variety of ways they present.
He'll give it to you.
So this is. So this is the original lot and the line that they're drawing.
We used to
That
have.
line in between.
And this is.
I missed.
That's the sun's,
One city.
sunsets down
Yeah.
here where they
Used to
get their
be.
access.
Yeah,
That's over by the power lines, right?
And that be going in this way.
Yeah,
They
it's
took
a
it
shared
down.
access.
I think we should protest.
Which would be nice.
Does it seem
Yeah.
like, at least not too long ago, Justin
sunset. They don't show us the sunset.
Just the last meeting.
But they're doing,
And then this house is
redoing all the
existing, and then
maps,
this
so maybe
is
it's
where
obsolete. and they're wanting to
approximately
build
they're
this
trying to build on this.
He's
and
trying,
it's
but I really like the
steep
other
on
one,
this
it's
side.
clear.
Oh, so is he on the west side of Sunset or the?
The east side of.
So it's ain't near Nice Street, then we're talking about the other side.
Yeah, and so it's pretty north.
It's hilly, really hilly,
Yeah.
really hilly.
But I can. Hopefully that helps. Sorry, we should have included
Yeah.
the map in the packet again.
Yeah, cause I didn't see that and it was, I was just wondering.
Yeah, it's kind of
Was
just
this-
it's this one here.
What, this one?
And this is the old Arcadia.
Yeah. This is the one here.
Yeah, that's the one.
And they would be on that side.
Yeah, so they split here and then the access is shared. The building is shared access. And so it's, I guess
This
it
would be
doesn't,
Nice Street here then.
yeah, it doesn't,
Yeah. Alright, so it doesn't even be close to Nice Street, then these other lots. Be above these lots here then.
yeah.
Okay.
Did anyone else wanna see the map again?
No, but what we were talking about was the map that we used to have here, the city map. That had
Yeah,
orange,
we have
the
that
color
back.
coded one. Did that disappear? It's gone.
Back
Oh,
there.
He's
got it.
Oh, there you So I was just wondering, it's updated. If we know where it is,
We
we'll
like-
find it.
We like
bring it out.
reference that map. a lot.
yeah.
And I want the good map. Now you can look at that.
down there,
You
there
can
you
have
go.
that one.
No, no.
Yeah. There you go. Get a little easel.
Yeah, right on, yeah. We're talking about right.
This one here.
Right here. Yeah, right here. We're talking about.
Yeah. And so it was the,
Okay.
it's our single family residential is all the yellow, so it's. But, yeah, that lot, there's not. Really, I would say a lot more developable area besides kind of the two lots that they're kind of split, maybe. Another one, but it gets pretty steep.
Yeah.
It's,
okay.
that's why.
I was
they're really
concerned
having
it's over
such
on
a
this
hard
side
time
here.
finding it. Really steep there, because it's so damn.
Got
steep.
slide potential in this area.
Yeah, everything is up and down, up and
Well,
down.
At this point, it's not proposed.
A lot of those early
Dense up there,
surveys
is
too.
another, kind of where they're proposing the home.
A lot of those early surveys are on.
Already.
Well, and
I think they were
it's
on some site ground.
tectonic plates.
But
They
the back,
They bought
the
out,
back.
they took them ages to
But I don't
figure
think
out
they're
where the
proposing any
corners were.
development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then
All right, I
things
just-
move.
I just from my knowledge of this area, I know it's a lot of slide potential in there.
Yeah, and
The whole canyon is a big slide.
and we do have a catch in our code for any development that's on slopes greater than 25%. We have to require a geotechnical report, so we try to capture that as we do partitions, where we kind of give a condition that's if you develop on the slopes greater than 25%, then you have to submit the geotech report, or even existing lots where someone comes in and it's a steep lot. We would require a geotech before it's.
Were they planning on digging any soil out of there into the?
No, I don't think, I think where they're putting it is pretty flat already, up there.
There's existing buildings on that.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah,
there's one existing house on that lot.
Yeah.
And then the second parcel,
the
Well-
one they're gonna build.
they're planning on building another single family home there.
But with the new places they don't have to dig very much.
I don't think so, no, and it won't be on the steep part at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they,
'cause I know that whole inside of that whole canyon there is just powder. It's anytime any equipment in there, it's just powder. 'Cause I know one of the residents here, I used to own 90% of that in there and it's just powder.
that's good to know.
So I got rid of it.
The truth comes out.
So, yeah, you'd have to put pilings in there to stable anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I believe we don't have exact site plan, but they did put approximate home site and it was on the flattest part of that new parcel essentially, where they're trying to put it.
Or, yeah, cause I.
You'll have to put pilings in probably.
Yeah, I was just wondering
Yeah.
how, if they were going to dig, if you're not gonna dig much, it'd probably be
I don't know.
okay, I would think, but I
I
know
don't
if
know
you're
what
gonna
you're
be
gonna
rooting
do.
around in there, it's probably not gonna be very. I don't know who's gonna carry the homeowner's insurance. I know anybody else down on that other side.
Yeah.
Cause I know there was some FEMA work in there before.
Okay. So I think we still need to make a decision, don't we?
Yeah, basic motion that just says that planning commission wants to extend the MP 3 22 until the December 15th, 2024.
Okay,
We
we
don't
don't
have-
need any
I was
findings,
gonna say, we don't have any
no.
thing in our report here that gives us that motion.
No, we didn't have any specific time.
No.
No,
They were trying to get their permit too, aren't they?
yeah, and at the bottom, you could, it says staff recommends granting the extension and you could take that and just say something along the lines of planning, commission recommends or approves the extension of partition MP 3 22 until December 15th, 2024.
I can do that.
Yeah, well, we maybe just like the owner did make the request per time, in a timely manner.
Yeah,
In the motion? Is that what you want me,
you could add that in the
is
motion.
that, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so since I don't have anything written down here, you might have to guide me.
okay.
A little
card,
bit, just
cue
a
card.
just a little. Okay, I make a motion that the planning commission recommends granting an extension for partition number MP 3 22 with a deadline date updated to December 15th of 2024. And what was the thing that you said we needed to add?
Noting that the request was made prior to the deadline.
Okay, and noting that there was a request made by the owner and applicant prior to the deadline.
Perfect.
Does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we'll just do a.
I'll second it.
All,
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so it is passed, noting that Jonathan isn't here. So now we go into what we've all been looking forward to.
yeah. And so the subdivision project kickoff, it's not meant to be long. Today we'll come back and we'll have strike through and underline versions where we can kind of talk through sections in detail. But the overall hope with the update is to kind of, we've had a couple partitions where a variance is maybe needed or a property it's difficult to partition. Moving kind of based on our current standards. Our current standards haven't been updated comprehensively since 2004, so they're dated. We've had more partitions, not really a lot of subdivision applications. Most recently, we had a planned unit development in 2006, which was kind of that threshold is partition is splitting into 2 or 3 lots, where the subdivision or planned unit development is the 4 or more lots. We haven't, for whatever reason, there just hasn't been as much demand for the subdivisions. There's been potential a couple times, but we haven't had an application. But the goal of this is to kind of make the standards up to date if there are any law changes or if we know an area that's caused problems in the past. One kind of example for our partition standards where we've had issues are that is access. We require the 20 or 25 feet of frontage on a street. And oftentimes it's easier if there's an easement access, that's a shared easement access based on the lot. And that, if that code section was updated, there would still be requirements around making sure there's fire turnaround, that there's a shared access agreement that's recorded. And maintenance agreement typically are kind of things that come with that, and that might open up some properties where it's difficult, where you're, instead of creating a weird flag lot, that you have more of a shared access. So flag lots are kind of where you have a skinny pole and then a flag, that's the actual lot that gets developed on. So what we would be doing is kind of looking at the code, our dimensional standards, and seeing where we can make those updates. In the past, through some of our other housing work, we've had some suggestions on code sections to update, but now we haven't comprehensively gone through it like we did our housing chapter in Title 17 in the RS and RG standards. So the hope is to still have orderly development that can be evaluated, but also looking at it to see kind of how lots that historically haven't been able to be developed but could be, how we can make those standards work. But it's not removing the process, but kind of updating the standards for development. And typically with those shared access agreements, I do want to mention it's often only up to 3 lots, because you want to make sure you're going beyond 3 lots at that point. It's more where you would need a road extension, is a more appropriate approach than the shared access agreement. Some other cities have done some similar work where you allow those shared access agreements. Another thing that we want to discuss is, so partitions right now and subdivisions are a type 3 decision. So that means it comes to the planning commission for approval. Many cities have partitions as type 2 decisions, and those still require the notice to neighbors for comment. But they are staff level approval. So it turns it around, the approval a little bit faster. Planning commission, through this process of updating the standards, still can ensure that the standards create orderly development. And then for subdivisions, the 4 lots or more, those would still come to planning commission, because those are bigger, likely larger impacts to the city, because it could be, 20 homes or a larger development where there might be more impacts to neighbors. So that's something that was suggested that we can discuss about where it's most appropriate for partition applications to land in the approval process. There'll be kind of updates for the language of definitions and through each section, but like how we kind of do the process is we'll create a Word document, and then we'll show kind of suggested strike through or underlined changes, striking out some language or underlining new language. And then we'll kind of go through it together and ask planning commissioners, kind of, how do you feel about this change in the code? And then we can kind of tweak it as we kind of go through the process. The goal is that we're sometime in October, hopefully kind of finishing adoption. Some of it will depend on if we get a lot of other public hearings, it kind of get pushed into the priority over the long range planning. But that's generally the timeline, is to get it done around October. And at the same time, we'll update. So in Title 19 are our procedures sections that talks about what it means to be a type 1, 2, 3, or 4 decision. So type 1, that's the staff level approval. So those are like building permit sign-offs. The type 2 are the notice to neighbors, but it's still staff level approval. Type 3, planning commission approval. So that's like your partitions right now, conditional use applications, and then type 4, the legislative updates. So that would be kind of the process to update the partition standards as a legislative update. So ultimately, city council makes the final decision, but planning commission recommends the changes. So we did link the code. I doubt everyone had an opportunity to go through the full code yet, but kind of in the next month, that kind of is, might be good to look at the code language, and we'll come back and look at maybe the definitions and a few other sections. We won't go the full code at a time, but we'll look at sections of the code and proposed updates through the next meeting and kind of moving forward. Are there any questions on, yeah?
I'm hoping and kind of assuming that we're gonna get rid of kind of the extra language that, you know, the verbiage, you know, try to make it a little more concise. I just I had the time, so I went through and printed out some, and it looks like there's some duplications. I didn't want to, that, you know, we could just maybe make it a little easier to read.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I agree
He's
there.
good, he's good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause I think I can't remember how many pages it is. I think it was 30-something pages when you,
yeah,
Printed it out.
every little extra and or can make a difference.
yeah. No, and it only got longer because since 2004, we did our transportation system plan. So those transportation standards were added in.
Yeah.
So it only made it longer. We didn't go shorter at that point. So
Are you hoping to take like one section per month or?
we'll probably have to do a few more than one.
Yeah, some of them are a
section.
lot shorter than others.
Yeah.
Do a long one and a short one.
Yeah.
We're gonna take them in sequence, aren't we?
What we did before,
Yeah.
right, is
Yeah.
we had a couple chapters.
Yeah,
A night,
Yeah.
or a meeting, and
yeah, and then reviewed it, yeah.
worked through
Are these
that.
the code and plans you're talking about on this packet I got?
Yeah.
We don't have.
We
Print them
didn't,
out, okay.
yeah, we didn't print it out, but hopefully the link, if you got online, there's a link in the memo that should link you to the code or online. The code's online as well,
Yeah.
or if you have trouble finding it, or you can email Arlene or I, and we can send you
Yeah.
directly to the code as well.
Not too quick on a computer.
But and also we can also, we wanted to, since we weren't getting into the specifics yet, we didn't print it out yet, but if you want a printed copy of just the existing code, we can definitely print that for you.
I'd like a madman.
And you might, is it in his?
Oh, yeah, it is in
Yeah.
that packet. It's about midway through. Something like that.
Yeah.
I actually.
I think it's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my grandkids do all that stuff.
Yeah. He had it hooked up and said, come here, grandma, I'm gonna show you how it works.
Mhm.
So
He
I
had it
didn't
hooked up
mind
already?
going and
Yeah.
getting stuff.
So it's just
And then
subdivision.
there, so like I said, there goes in the business.
So this one we're gonna change a little bit.
The parts I wanted, but it was gonna be 2 pages and 3 pages.
That whole
And then they
section.
do this.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It goes someplace else, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like if it's, that's perfect.
Anything else or?
I wanted to start just with a high level. Kind of overview for this meeting, but
Okay.
next meeting will come with some more details about timing and some initial suggested changes. And the other discussion item, if there's no other questions. We have the building permit log, so try to do it every 6 months, but there's just all the permits in the city for this last year. If there's any initial questions, feel free to ask those, or if later on something comes up, you can always stop by the office and we can answer the questions, but this is just a way to keep kind of planning commissioners up to date on what has been proposed throughout the city. So there's both the kind of the building permit activity and then also the land use activity is in the packet as well. And so it's 3 pages and it's that Excel kind of spreadsheet that's in the packet. So there's anything from new homes to the work in the right of way permits, to water and sewer connections. So those are all included, for kind of, your information.
I've noticed I talked with Arlene a little bit about this, earlier today about the trailer that went in, the double wide, I don't know what they even call them. But across from the road radio station, Business Loop 20. That lot had been for sale for quite some time. I'd looked at it several times, but it was always, to understanding it was coming off, the access was coming off radio port. But now, you know, I talked to Arlene and she let me know that that was supposed to be a temporary driveway. And now I see it's for sale. And it is,
We talked
We,
about
we
this
had a,
last
we
time.
had a discussion about
Only
that
15
at
feet
the end
away
of,
from
of
the-
last meeting.
yeah, I would like to
Yeah.
see that not be there, because
Yeah,
other than that, I would have bought it. I know a lot of other people would have bought it.
The Jatches.
Yeah,
well,
but now how,
that subdivision goes way back and,
Yeah.
and then there was and yeah, unfortunately, you can look around town and see a lot of things that you would rather not be there.
Yeah.
But
well,
they are.
right, I mean,
Yeah.
if I knew that that was a possibility, which it was, the information I received was, you know,
Well, and
Yeah.
it's not been
No,
approved yet,
and no.
is that right? The final approval on that?
Yeah, so
We talked about that.
they have a
Because we talked
Yeah,
about
we-
that.
temporary access right now.
The temporary access
on-
is the one that goes by the gentleman's garage.
No,
when you go
that's-
by-
So the
that's
one
the-
that's
that's the
temporary
per-
goes to Highway
yeah,
twenty.
the permanent access.
That's the
on that
permit,
garage.
but the temporary, and I guess that's what I was trying to say, is that the
Yeah,
the permanent is going to become.
And so that's
The, was there another one that
Driveway
came
goes
from
by
up
the-
above? It was a
Yeah.
lot line problem.
Yeah.
I'll step back just for, to go through each of the accesses. So there's kind of
he's
the,
not supposed to
there's
be
the
temporary.
easement.
He's gonna explain to us where the access.
Yeah, so
is.
there's the easement access onto Radio Court. So they have an easement across the neighboring property there. And that goes in directly into the garage door as it's currently configured. That's a permanent access.
Right.
The access onto Business Highway 20 it got approval as a temporary access.
Mhm.
But we're still kind of figuring all of that out right now. I think they want to have that as a permanent access, but they're working with the current Public Works to get that.
To current Toledo Public Works.
Yeah, the Toledo Public Works. So right now that, the city now has Business Highway 20. So the, ODOT, it up near, I don't know exactly where the line where it switches, but up near Dairy Queen
Sure, right.
is where,
Where it says 35 miles per hour.
Yeah,
But it was,
Yeah.
but it has always been told, no, that ain't gonna happen. And now it's available, so,
It's gonna happen?
yeah, well, that's what it's kind of sounding
Gonna
like.
happen.
So, most people should kind of consider that disregard what no means then, is I'm just trying to figure it out here, because there's a lot of other things I'm looking at that are no, so that means option yet, no means optionable, yes.
yeah, and I don't know.
Because they can just go for the temporary thing and then once that temporary, it's pretty good chance of being yes.
Yeah, and I don't know when you talked about buying that lot. Was it when it was still ODOT's jurisdiction or was it the city's?
I don't know when it changed. I mean, it's always been no. This place has been for sale for quite some time, even back when the house that's sitting there with the easement's been, and when they first had to close it down from the mold. The house that sits there now, well, the old house that sits next to it was all covered in black mold and stuff. They had to go through and completely redo the whole insides and get some air flowing through it and stuff, because they were both for sale. And then, but they were both only off that radio court road. And so that's because there was no was the answer from the access off of Business Loop 20. And
Yeah, and I do know there has been, so public works is typically in charge of the access permits, new access permits, and there's been changes for our public works director over
Mhm.
time, so there might be changes in interpretation, so of the code, or if jurisdiction changes, so before.
so that makes a big difference in real estate.
Yeah, and before, if it was ODOT, at the time it was ODOT, they typically have higher standards than.
Yes, they do, yeah.
What the city or county might have for new access. And my understanding is the reason, so when that subdivision happened, it was ODOT jurisdiction, so that's why there was that easement onto Radio Court, because they didn't want a separate access. But with the city's jurisdiction, it's kind of the city's determination of whether access could be onto Business Highway 20. Right now, it is approved as the temporary access, but I do know he wants the permanent, and I don't know if he said kind of.
No, I don't have an application yet.
Okay, and ultimately, kind of we'll have to work with the new Public Works Director to make the determination of if that can be a permanent access.
Yeah, so I seen the city out there putting in new manhole stuff out there where they were driving over it and stuff. I was wondering why they were filling that obligation,
Probably
not
make
the
it,
homeowner. So,
Yes, from the minutes from last time. It had been sort of left up in the air because talking about being updated to comply with city standards. If it's permanent, if it becomes permanent driveway, but I don't know if anything's been done about that or applications have been made at all to update that. Do you know? Do we know? Because it was last meeting
yeah, I don't know.
and we haven't had a meeting for a month or two.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's for sale signs all over the place now.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. It is for sale. It's been for sale for a while now, but we don't have a new updated permit at this point. I just
Can you
checked.
sell it without that?
So there is, the city was working on some other items too with the property owner, to finalize. So there's some things that still need to be finalized, on the property, and I believe there's a lien.
Yeah, I think our attorney was working on an agreement or terms for a
So we can
possible
get in
lien.
on
Yeah,
So
So that-
we need to, considering we were talking about it
Oh,
before,
I can
do we need to discuss this more?
No.
Next
He's-
meeting?
He's good.
No, I'm good. I just want to kind of know which direction. Did no mean pretty good chance you can get it, or
Okay.
no mean no? You know, I mean,
Well, sometimes no means no, and sometimes it doesn't.
no, right. So
I
it makes a
think-
big
I think-
difference when
I
you're
think
buying real estate.
Yeah.
The explanation lies in the fact that, you know, when we decided to make all of highway in town, a speed limit of 25 miles per hour, and there was a lot of discussion regarding that. And that's why they decided to make it consistent 25 as opposed to, you know, 20 here or 15 there, hoping, you know, realistically that people are still gonna go over the speed limit. I mean, there's that. And so when Radio Court first went in,
Yeah,
that it was, as Justin said, it was under a different jurisdiction. Also, a lot of these developments are planned on paper.
Mhm.
And when they actually get into starting to do it, at least 50% of them, if not more, do not come out as they did on paper.
sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, it's a
That's
rock,
right.
it's a rock and a hard spot,
Yeah.
and I know I was concerned, everyone here was concerned. I was pretty sure that they were under with the road, you know, because there's a distance between where a driveway can be next to where a road and how far apart they have to be. But they did fall within those parameters, so yeah, it's frustrating. Hopefully
It
we'll get it resolved. And it is for real estate buyer beware, you know, hope
Well,
whoever.
you
Yeah.
hope you
Yeah.
get the right information from your city, county,
You would
whatever
think,
you're asking.
Right, as best they can without
So,
changing stuff.
You know, cause then you got other entities gotta go
Exactly.
try to get the
Yeah, yeah, and
blessings
then,
from.
then if it's a county road that's in the city limits, yeah,
You got
it's
the old
fun.
laws and regulations, and if you're not getting the right information, well, then it's really hard to
Exactly.
do what
Yeah.
you need to do.
Information is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was real reasonable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And that's why, because there was no access off Business Loop
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
But now there is gonna be.
So
For them to-
where are we at on that, on the discussions on that?
Yeah, and I think, so part of it is that it got above kind of me where Doug, the city manager and attorney were working on it to move it forward. But we don't have a final permit or outcome for it yet. So it's something that I'll check in with the city manager on kind of where we're at. With working with the property owner and the attorney to see kind of if there are updates.
So we could kind of request that you kind of amongst everything else, you put that and let us maybe know on a monthly, you know, something's happened, something hasn't happened regarding that, or should, if the person's interested, just check with the city attorney directly.
Well, I can provide a report out at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Where
Yeah.
we're at.
That'd be good.
And that's part of the goal of the,
I hope I'm in the right line of doing what I guess the.
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you did.
Hopefully,
yeah.
if not, I'll
You did.
change course, so.
You did.
No, well, this is why this redoing the subdivision
Okay.
ordinance is so important.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That,
exactly, yeah,
keep on.
yeah.
Thoughts and
Interest is important.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, that topic right there has had a lot of people
Yeah.
talking about it.
There's a lot of other places I could go on about, but I'm just
I
trying to
know
get.
that one. I've heard lots of talk about it. Well,
Yeah.
what are they doing with that
Well,
access?
the
How are they
reason-
getting that? How are they?
It's because
you know?
it is
Yeah.
scary, it is scary.
It is
Yeah.
a bad place.
It
Yeah,
is, it's
that's-
terrible.
It's a bad place.
I mean,
I wouldn't want to live
we're
there.
just
It's
looking at-
scary.
For everyone, yeah.
That'd be an awful place to
Wouldn't
live.
it be?
so how far does City Business Loop run to the east end of Highway 20?
everything so the main loop is all city. I don't know the exact cutoff at Dairy Queen where it
No, I was
starts.
talking about the east end.
Oh,
not the
He
west
said,
end.
isn't it just past where the pizza place is?
Yeah, it's to
Before you get
Then it
to
goes to
the,
county. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
before you
Yeah.
get to Sturgis.
So, yeah, that's what I was wondering. We haven't had a meeting in a while because, you
Yeah.
know, we got a fishing pond and everything else on the east end.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I noticed the state, they ground off a little piece, but 15 feet across 2 lanes is another piece. They didn't bother grinding that. And it's bigger drop yet than what was over on that northbound lane.
oh, okay.
Well, it'd be the westbound lane, but it was north side.
Yeah, I don't go out that way that frequently.
Yeah.
There's quite a dip there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, it's like.
Is he to,
I haven't
Well, you know,
measured
when
it
you
yet,
go
but
to
I'm
the
just
junction,
checking.
to the east junction,
uh-huh.
and you're either gonna go to Corvallis or turn towards my place,
Mhm.
there's a dip, there's a huge
Oh.
dip there.
Trout pond.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's.
Yeah, that's.
And then you
that's
got a little bit
that's not
further and then the
city.
concrete, the asphalt drop.
Over, like while you're on
Like
business.
13
20,
inches.
and you
I haven't
go
actually
out,
got out and
or you
measured,
go
it. I put a
10
level out and then
feet
measure out. what-
Okay.
Or you
measured the
go
drop,
take
but
it straight.
I was gonna do a little math on it, figure it out.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah, That's not city. Let's do
Yeah,
Passes
I did,
it.
I thought that was county
No,
because the
you
state,
know where the east.
they
junction is.
ground their little
Okay,
spot
yeah, see, I'm
15
getting that
feet
mixed
away,
up with
and then
that
go and grind that
drive,
spot.
cause I go out that way.
The
too.
east John.
Yeah.
Everybody goes there?
No, I'd have to.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges is sometimes that you'll have county roads inside city limits sometimes. And then kind of where that jurisdiction
Yeah, I did.
line changes.
Yeah, I didn't know where it's fighting is.
It is fast.
I don't know,
Okay, I think
Arlene,
that's-
you know exactly where
I
that
don't know
line is.
exactly where, but I was under
I-
the assumption that the triangle piece was still ODOT.
Okay, that was my assumption.
I should know, it just come to my mind.
Yeah.
Every time I drive by it, I kind of whisper words, but I drive it every day, 3 or 4 times, so I just, I'm old.
It's quite the dip. That's.
It is, yeah, I've seen lots of spin outs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know, you're gonna hit it fast.
I thought about laying some dead salmon out there or something.
Throwing all over the
That's
creek.
kind of like the one in front of Olalla
Yeah.
Road. that-
Yeah,
On Highway 20,
yeah.
after that last big rain, it's dropped.
Yeah,
And you hit that sometimes and you think, oh, boy.
if
I
it
mean,
was 101, they'd be right on it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It has to drop quite a bit before they're on that.
Not too many
but-
dignitaries drive that side.
No.
That's the way I see it. I see things in black and white.
Yeah.
You find that.
Sounds like a little bit of, there.
Yeah,
Black and white.
I see a black and white.
No gray,
You'll find that
no
out.
gray.
Well, yeah, the goal of the kind of this spreadsheet is kind of give updates of projects. I mean, some projects that are on highly trafficked roads, you might already see that are ongoing, but some that are on kind of side roads, you might not know about. So the hope is to kind of keep planning commission members updated on all the development that is happening in the city. I mean, we only get so many homes a year in Toledo, but there are a few, and I think over the last, I mentioned it before, over the last 4 to 5 years, we've had more units than previous years, so there has been a slight uptick. So hopefully we can keep that trend going, and that was part of the reason why we did our previous housing code updates, was to make it easier for development to happen.
Have they ever thought about lowering the cost a little bit? That's,
Of STCs,
boy.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, so-
You ever thought about building a house in Toledo?
Yeah, so
Up, going
our
up?
they are
It's
expensive.
1/3 of the cost.
I will say they are in line with a lot of other cities, but in the SDCs, kind of in order to update your SDCs, you have to go through kind of a public process to identify which ones need to be updated and how. So they're
In line with what?
It's-
Other cities of our,
a lot of the analysis, I'm not the one who does that.
Yeah.
There's firms that specialize in that, but I do know part of it is comparing to like cities. And doing analysis on kind of what upgrades need to be done in the future to right size what those
I know
SDCs are.
lots of people love to live here, but they can't afford it.
Yeah. there's a
You
lot of-
cannot afford it.
Yeah.
It's unaffordable.
Yeah. And that's,
I know, I'd build a lot more, but you can't afford it either. That's just flat out. I mean, you can't afford it.
and I can't remember the date of when those SDCs were updated, but one thing that we did talk about through our housing code update was to something that Newport actually does is their SDCs are tiered based on the size of the house. So a smaller home, if you're coming in and building an 800 square foot home, your SDCs would be less than building a 3,000 square foot home. So there's different ways that you can tier SDCs based on the size of the development, or even for duplexes right now, as an example, our current code, it's I think 75% for the second unit, so you get a slight discount on the SDCs. So there's some existing not waivers, but discounts for the
Right.
second unit in our code in other cities, but they've actually gone through that analysis Newport, I think that there's a few years ago, and that's where they ended up tiering theirs as a way to try and make it more fair
Yeah.
for developments.
Maybe they could take a little bit at a time, monthly payment system or something. I mean, there's nothing to hook it up. I mean, ain't nobody gonna break a sweat hooking up utilities.
Yeah, and there's
Out loud, and for juniors and seniors can do it. So, but, for the 10-year plan or something. And if they don't, you always put a lien on it.
yeah, we
Just make it more affordable for somebody to be able to. There's still a lot of lots that are sitting here. You can't really open up the urban growth boundary if you still got open places right here in town.
and yeah, I definitely think that's. I mean, we can actually. Maybe we put that as a goal. We can add that to so the start of the year, council has goals
Yeah.
for the year. It doesn't mean that everything that gets
Right.
listed is going to be
Yeah, right,
completed.
yeah.
But that's something that we can
Brainstorm.
add to the list, is thinking about looking at those SDCs and updating them. We do, under the current system, we try to be flexible on kind of when we receive payment. So a lot of cities won't even issue a permit until the SDCs are paid for. We try to provide a little bit of flexibility that will still sign the permit and get it to the county. So that, if you are building to sell or even building to live in, that you have a little bit more time. So we do our best under our current system, but really the only way to update those SDC fees and tier them differently is to go through they're kind of special, I think they're engineering firms typically, or firms that specialize in kind of the language and the law of SDCs to update that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not an expert, so I'm sure there's other ways besides square footage, but.
Yeah, cause there's nothing to hook up utilities. I mean, nothing at all to hook up utilities, so. Yeah, but
I had a change of subject question, just curiosity. Cut water line, cut service line. Does that mean that they got the permit to cut it, or they got the permit to repair a service line? It's the last page. Northwest Natural Right of Way 1026.
Oh, Northwest Natural would have cut, yeah, maybe they canceled or the house did not
Oh,
have.
okay, so it wasn't a repair, it was, they
No,
were actually
it was probably
cutting.
gonna
cutting
take
the
a
line.
while.
Okay, okay, I was just
Yes.
curious. Okay, thanks. All the little things.
So usually you have to open up the street to do those lines.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed the thing on A Street is, that's completed. So it'll be interesting when the triplex. That'll be interesting to see how that comes along.
Bank owned.
No, this is across from the kind of catty corner to the cop station.
Oh, yeah, what are they building there?
That's a triplex, I think each unit is 680 square feet. And they have 150, it's compact.
I mean, man, that thing's earthquake proof, fire.
Yeah, it's a foundation, it's a foundation.
They got 300 grand just in
Yeah.
concrete.
Yeah. Lot of.
I talked to the guy, back some time ago, and because I was concerned that it had been sitting there a long time.
Yeah.
And he said he was waiting for parts or whatever, but that's what everybody
I
says.
think you
So,
run out of money.
and I haven't seen anything happening there for months.
Yeah.
No, they were there a few weeks ago before,
Yeah,
around
I
the
guess I
holidays, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know it is true. I mean, talking to people, their supplies are, it's better, but some people just get hung up trying to.
Oh, yeah.
Get what they
They got a
need.
lot of money in it. I mean, it's gonna be really stout. I mean,
Yeah,
it
it'll be
really-
interesting. I'm curious to see
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it can,
Yeah,
That thing ain't gonna go anywhere.
So it is the same builder that built the quadplex on Beach.
Yeah,
The same builder,
Mhm.
and that is an application that actually did come to the planning commission.
yeah,
First for the conditional use for the
yeah,
triplex there.
yeah, and they had beautiful blueprints, and I mean, they had it all
man.
Oh, yeah, it's
figured out.
nice.
It's
Yeah.
only, 680 square feet, a
Per
unit. huh?
unit, if I remember correctly, that's
And,
what they
and the
had,
city's given them permission on,
one bedroom units.
on the parking, because they won't have. any
You're right, yeah.
But they gave him a special.
So yeah, our code, our code as it's currently structured, we allow for if there's on-street parking, you can use those as a credit.
Yeah,
So there are two spots, driveway, I think it's 2 driveway spots, and then there's 3 on-street spots that are directly fronting that lot
yeah.
that can be used by that lot that often, I mean, you don't really see people park there very
No, I
often.
very seldom.
So there's really the five spots, but I think his goal with those were smaller units for mill workers that might be in town, that only are in town for maybe 6 months, or also someone that's single that only needs 600 square feet. So
Yeah,
he was targeting the smaller units that we don't necessarily have a lot of
right,
currently in
yeah,
Toledo. So I think that was the idea with the 3 smaller units, whereas his quadplex is actually, all of those are they have large, they're almost like 2 masters
yeah.
is kind of how it's set up. So it could be kind of two single people or 2 even.
Well, you know where to run
couples,
to
but-
if you need to, cause it's gonna be, it's gonna be stout.
Yeah, that one had a lot of concrete, that's. for
Yeah.
sure.
I hope the rest was built like that, cause it's gonna be a dandy.
Are we done yet?
I was just going to see if there are any other staff comments or commissioner comments.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Please. How far does the city lot go out over the river? Just GP's gonna be building, you know, they got that land across the river there.
Yeah, so the city limit line,
Yeah,
yeah, so
I
we,
mean, are we responsible for that? They're gonna have a big subdivision.
Kelton Road you're talking about, probably?
Yeah,
That would be, okay, it's Butler Bridge, that'd be Skelton Road would be, I don't bring it in with glasses.
so the only part that's on the other side of the river that's in the city is here, this
Butler Bridge,
actually.
The dark brown.
This
Oh,
is in the urban growth boundary, but not in the city yet, and this here with this red line, that's inside the city limits right now.
where's the dump, where they're putting their waste? On land over the river,
Down below.
is that out of
You
city?
mean across
not in
the old,
Yeah,
from the
across
old
from the-
barn?
Is
Yeah.
that in the city? That's not. in the
Across from the city, no, not.
Not in the city.
Across.
No, I'm just wondering, they're gonna be building a lot more buildings over there, because they're doubling in size.
oh, the sludge ponds?
No, the mill itself.
Yeah, we don't, on
We
this,
have no.
on the south side of the river, we don't have a lot, it's just this area that's in the city right now. If we brought up, it might be easier if you stop by, we can bring up an aerial photograph
Yeah.
and look at it on the map.
And it's zoned industrial.
Cause these are where the ponds are,
Light industrial.
where the effluent goes. There, and this is
Yeah.
where they used to dump all the stuff now. You know, they used to dump all the extra.
Sludge.
Yeah, yeah. But
Dried sludge.
they buried a bunch of wire and crap there. I know, I worked there for 27 years, you know, right? But,
I'm just wondering-
But now it's, I think this is log yard stuff here.
Where do
Yeah,
they park
I
the
think-
trucks? Don't they have a big parking
It-
lot
Yeah.
right up in that
Across
area
from that
too?
Yeah, over here.
Trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now this is all tidal flats in here.
I was surprised.
Why would you make that?
last time I was out there.
Well, that's a tidal flat giant.
Yeah, so urban growth boundary, we haven't actually changed that in a very long time, so there's some areas that are
Unless you're from muskrat farm.
probably wrong. but-
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we're gonna get involved in,
Uh-huh.
as far as that's concerned, because they're putting in,
I
you know,
know.
10 or 15 acres of houses over there.
It would be good to.
So if they're putting, we haven't, probably in the county, 'cause I haven't heard anything
Get a van and everybody.
about it, if they're putting housing on that side. Cause we don't, all of our land really here is, it's not gonna be housing, cause it's industrial.
Yeah, it's a log yard.
And that's the zoning there, I mean. This area here, it's in the UGB and zoned residential, and then. I'm not, I haven't heard about those, that.
Anyway, that's their plan. And they're gonna, you know, they'll use the land they've already got to do the extension, so.
But if,
But they're planning on building some, housing, because they just don't have enough housing in Toledo.
Well, there is, but they just, they gotta
Where,
make it
where are they
affordable.
planning on building the housing,
well,
Ricky?
That's another issue.
Well,
300-400 empty lots around here.
Yeah.
Just got, and they gotta punch some roads in. There's between East Slope Road and up by the water tower there. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Sometimes they'd have.
They
have
can lots,
conditions, they'd have
but there's no road through there. City stops.
Yellow there.
It all stops, all this up in here and stuff.
Residential.
Yeah, that's
Right, and
all,
I know,
Light brown.
like all that, that's just empty.
that's like.
There's no, yeah,
that
a lot of these lots in here that just empty.
Empty space, huh?
There's no house in there, ain't no roads in there. It shows there's roads, but they've never been put
They've
through.
never been ever done.
They know
Well,
it.
some of them have been vacated
Yeah, well,
because
they,
they're going through somebody's house. There was 9th Street.
there's.
Were you
nothing-
on, were you
nothing-
on when
nothing
we
there.
did that one?
Yeah, dead end.
Oh, okay.
They've never been punched through. You can buy several lots, you can go to the county and buy it for the foreclosure list and stuff, you can buy a lot of them lots for 3, 4, 5 grand.
Mm.
But you can hike into them,
Yeah.
that's all you can do.
Okay, well, it's 7 o'clock and some people have a long way to drive, so.
yeah, if the
and so
only,
unless there's anything else, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
a super quick update,
Okay.
The comp plan was adopted by city council, so we'll have it posted on the website. For everyone to view the final copy anytime. And if you want a printed copy, we could, it's not by the office, we
Yeah,
can print out.
this is the finished copy, nothing needs to be done to it.
Yeah, the finished copy.
It'll, I'm not carrying it.
It's actually only 100 pages.
Oh, really?
Right.
Not too bad.
Oh, I'm thinking the one with all of, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's-
all the attachments.
Yeah, all-
It doesn't have all the attachments.
You need that.
Yeah.
Oh, I get that, you know, that's.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
Okay, I'm out of here.
Hey.
Recording is stopped.